Hey guys, in today's episode of whatever you want to call this, we're going to be kind of, I don't even really want to necessarily use the word reviewing, but talking about Hershey Park and just our little vacation we took to Hershey, PA in general. We're just going to be kind of talking about that, our experiences, things we did, things that you might be interested in doing yourselves, and yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
That's what we are doing. This is my first time ever being to Hershey Park, and Kim's been there before, but you hadn't been there for quite some time, though.
Like 20 years, probably,
yeah.
at least.
It's changed a lot since she's been there, and I've never been there, so obviously, for me. We decided to stay on property. Well, it's technically their property. It's the Hershey Lodge is where we stayed. They have two resorts, the Hershey Lodge and the Hershey Hotel. The Hershey Hotel is the more expensive. The Hershey Lodge is a little bit lower on the price spectrum. Still not very cheap. It was like, $160 a night when we stayed. And the weekends, it's like $200 or something a night. It's almost, I think, $100 more on the weekends. Yeah. It's not cheap, and I would say that probably not worth it. The only really benefit you get from staying on site is that you get to enter the parks an hour early.
Yeah.
And they give you a chocolate bar.
I was just gonna.
Yeah.
You can't.
Hershey Lodge was weird the way it's set out. It's there's like a main tower, but then there's also like drive-up rooms. Mm-hmm. We were in kind of like a mixture of both. It wasn't the main tower, but you couldn't drive to a room. Like we drove up to a building. It was almost like an apartment complex. Is how it was set up.
Yeah.
They do have like a little, they call it a water park, but just so you know, it's a swimming pool, and there's a jacuzzi in there, which the jacuzzi is really nice, and then a couple little splash pads for kids.
Yeah.
Well, they have a water slide.
And 2 water slides.
2? Oh, yeah, there was 2.
There was 2 water slides.
So, it's small, but they kind of make it sound like, the way they make it sound, I feel like on the website, kind of leads you to believe it's going to be something a little bit more than it is. It's still nice, though. I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah, it was decent.
Yeah. I feel like the room was just maybe a little bit more than necessarily needed to be, but, and they're just kind of dated. I think they need a little bit of updating.
Yeah.
They have a couple restaurants there as well. One being Fire and Grain, which we did eat at, and another one called The Revelry. They have a Coco Cabana in there, which I guess is a small little chain, at least in the area. It's like a coffee shop. That one's pretty standard. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like your Starbucks type of thing. It's a cafe. It was decent. We had that for breakfast one time. Fire and Grain, though, I felt like was a pretty good restaurant.
Yeah, it was good.
Their food was there. It was kind of pricey, but I mean, I guess you kind of expect that for any of these type of on-resort places. But it was pretty good, though. The park itself was nice and it was clean, but I feel like it was weird. It was both big and kind of small. I don't know.
I think it reminded me a lot of Kennywood.
Yeah.
But also in the same aspect, because you know how Cedar Point is just ginormous, huge park,
Cedar
and
Point's
then
very
like
large.
Kings Island is like, we're Cedar Point's little sister. Hi, and it's like that smaller thing. It's like what Hershey is. It's kind of like that smaller thing, and it's like smack dab in the middle of town.
Yeah,
and
it's in a weird location.
Yeah.
It's very dense because there's a lot of rides that they packed into this kind of smaller park.
But they do like intertwine into each other, like a lot. Like we were in one area and there was like 3 coasters that all kind of like went into each other.
100%.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like almost all the coasters for the most part overlapped, and then Storm Runner, which was down. That ride literally just went throughout, like, the entire park.
Yeah.
Like, there's just Storm Runner was just everywhere. Once you get towards, like, the backish part of the park, it's just everywhere. But, yeah, unfortunately, the biggest bummer of our stay was Storm Runner, which I guess had been closed for over a year. Didn't know that. It's not listed on the website at all. Was closed, and Fahrenheit was closed the whole time, and we were going to go to the water park. That's kind of the reason we waited a little bit to go there, so we could go to the water park, but the Lazy River is closed the whole time, which is the main thing I like to do, and it was closed, both days. But we did ride pretty much every coaster besides those 2, because they were open, at least periodically. Most of them were.
Yeah.
We rode the new one, which was Candymonium, which we rode that 3 times in total. Mm-hmm. I think we rode like front, middle, and back on that one.
Yeah, we did front, middle, and back. We actually did front the first time we went because we literally walked on it. Like, we walked into the park, walked in there, and they're like, have a seat. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. Like, some of the rides you would wait. Like, we did wait for a few things. But, like, some of the bigger rides and stuff, like Candymonium and Skyrush and stuff, we practically walked on them.
What was also really odd was Candymonium. Like the second day we went, the line was like over 2 hours long, and I get on the app and it's like for some reason it's like a 5-minute wait, and I'm like, how is that right? Because everything else was still like an hour or so. Mm-hmm. No one was there. No one. But all the other rides were like busy as heck. So I don't know if it closed down for a while. It was really confusing to me that like that ride all of a sudden was like everyone was like, nope, we don't want to ride this anymore, and went somewhere else. It was weird. And because it stayed that way for a little while after too, which I thought was odd. So let's see, what else did we... Well, we rode a couple of the older coasters that they have there. Oh, they were okay. I forget, what was the big one? What was that one called?
Wildcat,
yeah. That was like the big wood coaster that they have. It was good, a little rough, a little jerky, but like,
yeah.
I, for the most part, enjoyed it. Now, we did ride in the front, not the front seat, but the front car. Mm-hmm. So I imagine towards the back of that coaster will probably... mess you up a little bit more as far as the jerkiness in that is concerned. Rode the racer. Only one side was running the entire time, though. We rode the dinky little minecart thing that they have.
Oh, yeah. What is that one?
Trailblazer.
Trailblazer
was the name of there. Yep. Laugh Track is their only indoor coaster. It's like a spinning coaster.
That was strange.
It was strange. Found out it's a copycat of a ride we'd actually been on before. It's a copycat of, I forget the name of it, but it's at Valdemere. There's a spinning coaster there. It's the same thing, except this one's inside. So that's cool. Great Bear was a floorless coaster. That was fun. Kind of reminiscent of like your Banshee, Raptor. It's, a floorless B&M. They have a cute little old looping coaster, the Super Duper Looper. Which has one loop, which is hilarious that it's called the Super Duper Looper. But, yeah. And then probably the craziest thing, definitely the craziest thing we rode while we were there was Skyrush. Unbeknownst to me, this coaster is infamous for trying to kill you, basically. It is an airtime monster.
Oh, my gosh.
It's less than a minute long. Thank God. The lift hill takes you up basically instantly to the top of this hill.
Yeah.
It's like Millennium Force's lift hill, but like twice as fast, I swear. It's not a launch, but it almost feels like a launch.
Right.
In the airtime, there's, I think about like 4 hills. There's 3 like ejector airtime hills, but then the last one is an ejector airtime hill that goes up and then quickly banks to the left and basically just makes you feel like you're being flung out of your vehicle. Mm-hmm. And we rode in the front the first day, and that was intense, but then we rode more towards the back. It wasn't completely in the back, but it was pretty close to the back.
Yeah, we were like third seat from the back.
And that one, I've never screamed on a roll. I think I screamed almost the entire time. It was so rough. I mean, not rough. The rough's not the right word. The coaster's not rough at all, but it's just so intense, and it just shoots you out of your seat. Mm-hmm. I mean,
I legit thought I would have bruises on my thighs because the way that the harness comes, or the restraint comes down, it comes down across your hips and your thighs here, and each time it would like jerk you up. And I just thought for sure I was going to have, like, these big lines of bruises here on my thighs because it was, like, was every time.
I'm surprised I didn't either. You're in for a treat when the ride operator says to you, just keep your thighs up and you'll be fine. I'm like, what do you mean? Why would you say that? And he's like, you'll see when you get to that third hill. And I'm like, yeah, well.
Yeah,
he wasn't wrong. I mean, the guy that was riding with us, who wasn't obviously in our party, it was just us, looks at us once it's done, and he's like, I've ridden quite a few coasters, and that was scary. Like, it was pretty scary. You're right. But yeah, a lot of the coasters there are fun. It's just very disappointing that we didn't get to ride Fahrenheit or Storm Runner, because Storm Runner looks like it's the best coaster in the park. It looks amazing. It's the only launch coaster that they have, and it just really makes me sad that we didn't get to ride it. So eventually, when we go back, we'll have to ride that, I suppose. And then they also have Hershey's Chocolate World. Yeah, that's what it's called. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chocolate World. Basically, it's a big shop, but they also have the dark ride in there.
Yes, and the dark ride is essentially They actually did it for a purpose, because we actually did go to the museum, and it was listed in there. But they did it with a purpose. They had too many people visiting the factory to do tours that it was actually causing congestion with the manufacturing of the chocolate. So they're like, well, what can we do to still show people how we make our chocolate, but not have them, be inside the factory? So that's when they came up with the idea of Hershey's Chocolate World, which is essentially a dark ride showing you the process that they go through, but it's quick and zany and obviously very fake chocolate.
Right.
But it was actually really cool and very informative.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. I see a lot of people saying it's one of their favorite dark rides, and I don't know if I'd agree with that. Because it is very slow. I mean, it's definitely geared towards family. I mean, it's just a cart that slowly meanders around a fake factory. But the scenes in that are cool, and the smells. You get to go through a tunnel where they're baking you, which has a little bit of heat that gets blown on you, and there's talking cows and stuff. It's fun. It was fun. The Chocolate World has some other things you can do as well. They have one where you can make your own chocolate bar.
Yeah. We
did not do that, but that's something that's there. They have a little theater you can go and watch stuff in. But yeah, so it's a cool little place, and they have lots of interesting things. Which actually, they have this. That's where we got this. So you can only get this there. This was strawberry ice cream or something like that?
Strawberries and cream. It's white cream with strawberry flavored flakes.
Yeah, so we're going to see if this one's any good. We're just going to try this one now, actually. I got one. It was mint chocolate chip ice cream is basically what the one I got was, and it was bad. I have a feeling this is going to be bad as well. But yeah, you can only get it there, so we thought it'd be interesting. They also sell some of the other weirder chocolates and stuff like that. They had the section where it was... What was it from around the world? It was different somethings from around the world. Was it Kit Kats?
It was Hershey Kisses.
Oh, yeah, because they had different fillings and stuff like that. Does it smell bad as well?
It smells good.
Okay, yeah, that smells like a strawberry. So let's see. Maybe this one's going to be okay. This one's much better than the mint chocolate one. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty good. So if you go there and get something, don't get the mint chocolate one. If you like strawberries, this is fine.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing that was weird. After the tour, they gave you a chocolate bar, a little mini one. And it tasted completely different than Hershey's chocolate regularly does. I don't know if it's because it's fresh.
That's what I'm thinking. That's my theory, is that because they got it literally from across the street, it didn't have that whole time to sit in a warehouse, a distribution center.
Very different. It was weird. It was very good, though. We also we ate at the Chocolatier, and we have a whole review of that on the channel as well, so make sure to check that out if you're interested in checking out that restaurant. The biggest problem I think that we had, is this is not a park you really need 2 full days at. At least not if it's busy. Maybe you do. If it is busy, we got we rode everything in the first day. Plus, did the zoo.
Yeah.
And still had a couple hours left to go to the Chocolatier and eat. We went for the third day because we bought a ticket for it already. But we were there for 3 hours.
Yeah, we weren't even there very long, and we're like, all right, we're done.
Now, I will say, if we would have done the water park, it would have been a little better. But the water park's only 12 to 5, too, so it's not open real long. But like I said, we don't really like water slides much. I just like I said, the lazy rivers and wave pools. But since the lazy river was closed, I forgot my swimsuit. And I'm like, well, I'll just purchase one. I'm like, well, I'm not going to purchase one just for this, because I don't really want to just go in the wave pool for 20 minutes and be done. But yeah, so if you go, I think you can definitely do it in one day if you're not interested in the water park. If you are definitely interested in the water park and riding things more than once, you could make it 2 days, but you do not need more than 2 days for this park. You do not need more than 2 days. And also, compare prices. If that early entry isn't important to you, you can definitely find better hotels for less money in the area. Mm-hmm. Actually, even a little closer. Hershey Lodge is 8 minutes away, which just kind of surprised me. It's not crazy far, but...
It was weird.
I thought it would be closer.
I thought it was going to be next to the park, and it was.
It's not.
It's not. You'd think oh, we could just walk there or something like that. No.
Yeah, which is funny because there was a Holiday Inn or something directly across from the park.
Yeah.
Which I found funny that they don't own that one. But yeah, some of the stuff we did is she said we did go to the museum. It's a museum. It was cool. It was informative. You can walk around and you get this little token and you put it on these little display kiosks, and they it's kind of cool. It's almost shadow puppeted the way like it gives you the information. They're like these display kiosks. When you put it on the thing, it's not a TV screen. It's like it's almost like there's like little holograms
projection.
or something.
Yeah, like a little projection in there. And we also did, and this might be something that you might be interested in, but they do have chocolate tastings at the museum, which was actually pretty interesting. You can do. We did a six tasting.
I recommend if you do the 6 to split. Yeah, because it's a lot.
And they gave you shots of different kinds of chocolate from like Chile and Madagascar, and then of course Hershey's and stuff like that. And it was actually really interesting. And they had like a whole info sheet that had like, you're gonna taste like nuts in this, and you're gonna. It's
kind of like doing a wine tasting.
Yeah,
the whole family can do it because it's not alcohol.
Yeah, and it was really cool, and it was warm chocolate, because it was drinking chocolate. And it was really interesting and kind of fun. And they also have a thing where you can actually learn how to make chocolate. It's like a chocolate lab, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah, we didn't do that. Because when a little thing had just started when we got there, and I didn't feel like waiting around. But it looks like it might be fun. But yeah, the chocolate tasting, I think, that's the main reason we went there. They also have like a cafe and stuff in there as well. We did not go to the cafe, but there's a cafe inside of the museum as well. So the museum was pretty, and it was very well maintained. The zoo was also a small zoo, but I actually thought it was pretty nice.
Oh yeah, it was a nice zoo.
It's a nice little break. Yeah, there's not a ton of animals there. Nothing real exotic, but we actually saw most of the animals as well.
Yeah, they were in like plain sight pretty much the whole time we were there.
So the zoo is a nice little break from that. There's also a gardens thing, which we actually didn't do. I kind of forgot about that. There was like some kind of gardens. It was like there's like a butterfly garden. I think there's more than that to it as well. So that's somewhere around there that you can do. It's like I said, if you plan on doing all of that stuff, you can definitely make 2 days out of it. But if all you care about is going there and riding the coasters, you really only need 1 day for that. If that's all you really plan on, because it's just because the park is so compact. But overall, I mean, we had a fun time. It's just, like I said, when we go back, it'll just be like a day excursion thing. Because we actually ended up, which there'll be another episode about when that's going to be in part of our podcast for Creeps, Creatures, and Haunts. We went to Gettysburg. We also did a ghost hunt, so there'll be a video on the ghost hunt there. And Gettysburg was a lot of fun. We only did a day there because it wasn't on the itinerary.
Yeah, it was kind of a surprise thing. Yeah. We're like, what can we do on our way home? And it's like, well, Gettysburg's kind of on the way home. We're like, let's do it.
I didn't realize how close it was, and we were like, and Gettysburg was awesome. I wish we would have had more time at Gettysburg, because there's so much to do there. So we're definitely going there. But so make sure you check out, subscribe to the channel, and turn the bell on so you see when those videos come out. If they're not out before the ghost hunt will be out before this, but this might be before the Creeps, Creatures, and Haunts. Just check the channel, see if this video is already out if you're new to the channel and are interested in that, because if you're in Hershey, PA, or plan on going to it, Gettysburg is close by, and I would recommend, if it's more of an adult trip, to focus on doing Gettysburg and maybe like a day of Hershey.
Yeah.
That's what I would recommend. But I think that's going to do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next.
Bye.